This is a brief summary of a Chinese drama that will save you 20 hours. At the very start of the drama, the story opens with a glimpse into the past. In this scene, we are introduced to the male lead, a young man named Xiangsu whose arrival at college immediately becomes the center of attention. What shocks everyone is not his looks or reputation, but the fact that he is carrying a small child in his arms. The entire campus is stunned. Until the previous day, Xiangsu was known as the most carefree and flirtatious man in college. He was famous for his charm, his popularity, and his refusal to settle down. He was not married, nor had he ever been linked to any long-term relationship. So naturally, rumors begin to spread like wildfire. Students whisper among themselves, wondering where this child came from and how someone like Xiangsu could possibly be a father. Despite all the stares, gossip, and judgmental looks, Xiangsu walks forward without reacting. He does not bother to explain himself or defend his reputation. After returning home, it becomes clear that the baby truly belongs to him. He takes responsibility seriously and begins raising the child on his own. Like any new parent, he struggles at first. He is inexperienced, overwhelmed, and exhausted, but he refuses to give up. Slowly, through trial and error, he learns how to take proper care of his child. He feeds him, comforts him, and stays awake at night when the baby cries. Over time, Xiangsu grows into the role of a devoted father. One day, however, tragedy almost strikes. The baby's health suddenly worsens and the child becomes critically ill. Panic overtakes Xiangsu. He rushes to the hospital, holding the baby tightly while crying uncontrollably. It is obvious that this child means everything to him. The fear of losing his baby completely breaks him. The story then shifts to the present day, introducing the female lead, Mimo. She is an independent woman who runs a matchmaking agency called Brave Wedding. Unlike traditional agencies, her business focuses on people who are divorced, emotionally wounded, and looking for a fresh start in life. One day, a female client visits her office and shares a painful story. The woman explains that her husband betrayed her after marriage. He made countless promises, built a family with her, and even had children together, but eventually abandoned her for another woman. Now, she wants to remarry, but with one condition: her future husband must be wealthier and more attractive than her ex. Mimo listens patiently and responds honestly. She tells the woman that instead of rushing into another relationship, she should first work on herself. According to Mimo, confidence, health, and self-love are the foundation of a successful relationship. She advises the client to improve her lifestyle and appearance, and once she regains confidence, Mimo will help arrange dates with suitable men. The woman happily agrees. Curious, the client then asks Mimo about her own life, mentioning that she has heard Mimo is also divorced. She wonders why Mimo has not found a new partner yet. Mimo smiles and admits that she is divorced, but reassures her that she is already in a loving relationship. She confidently states that she will soon marry her current boyfriend, who loves her deeply. At that moment, Mimo receives a phone call from a man named Jasos. She steps outside to answer it. Jasos is actually someone who secretly keeps track of Mimo's boyfriend. He excitedly informs her that the long-awaited moment has arrived. According to him, Mimo's boyfriend Young is planning to propose that very day. He has booked an entire restaurant and decorated his room with red roses to create a romantic surprise. Mimo is overwhelmed with happiness and tells Jasos not to reveal that she already knows about the proposal. She rushes back inside and shares the good news with her close friend and business partner, Bekta. Mimo excitedly describes how Young feels like the man from her dreams, although she has never clearly seen his face in those dreams. Bekta, however, remains cautious and advises her not to celebrate until the proposal actually happens. Mimo brushes off her warning. The story then flashes back to their past when Mimo and Bekta were once part of a famous girl group called Angel, similar to popular idol groups. The group had 5 members: Mimo, Bekta, Soyan, An, and Dongmi. Among them, Soyan was the most popular and arrogant. She had the largest fanbase, received the most acting offers, and appeared in commercials and dramas. This success made her extremely proud and disrespectful toward the other members. Soyan constantly insulted and belittled her teammates, calling them untalented and unattractive. Mimo and Bekta silently endured her behavior, while An and Dongmi, though short-tempered, also tolerated her insults for the sake of the group. One day, Soyan openly mocked them, claiming that fans only supported her because the others were ugly. This finally angered the group, and a heated argument broke out. Before things could escalate further, they were called to perform. During the show, Soyan deliberately blocked Mimo, preventing her from performing properly. After the performance, Soyan intentionally stepped on Mimo's foot. Enraged, Mimo retaliated, causing a physical fight between them. The incident was recorded and uploaded online, leading to massive controversy. As a result, the Angel group was officially disbanded. Back in the present, Dongmi is now a school teacher. She remains single and easily irritated, often taking out her frustration on her students. On the other hand, runs an online business and works as a bikini model, gaining a large male fanbase. Despite the group's breakup, all four women remain friends except for So Yan. Mimo shares the proposal news with her friends and returns home to prepare for the big moment. She has waited 2 years for Young to propose and wants everything to be perfect. Meanwhile, An reveals that she is also planning to marry a wealthy man who has won her family's approval with expensive gifts. However, she admits that she does not feel truly happy, which surprises Baekda and Dongmi. Elsewhere, Xiang-soo is now working as a reporter. His wealthy family background no longer matters as he lives alone due to past events involving his child. While investigating a pregnant celebrity at a hospital with his friend, he later follows her to a restaurant. At the same time, Mimo is on her way to meet Young, happily recalling the expensive gifts they exchanged during their relationship. Suddenly, Young calls and angrily tells her not to come. Confused but excited, Mimo assumes he is upset because the surprise was spoiled. Before she can fully understand the situation, Young sends her a message breaking up with her, claiming she is not perfect for him. Heartbroken, Mimo confronts him at the restaurant and throws a cake in his face. Xiang-soo secretly records the scene. Mimo then realizes that Young's new lover is none other than So Yan. Devastated and furious, she accuses So Yan of stealing her boyfriend as revenge. Young defends So Yan and humiliates Mimo further. After leaving, Mimo throws Young's jewelry into the sea in anger, then jumps in to retrieve it. Mistaking her actions for a suicide attempt, Xiang-soo jumps in to save her despite not knowing how to swim. Ironically, Mimo ends up saving him instead. Later, they discover they are neighbors. Xiang-soo cooks for Mimo to thank her and they drink together, slowly bonding. Eventually, they realize they knew each other as children and once played Romeo and Juliet in a school play. During a kissing scene, Xiang-soo had run away due to stomach pain, embarrassing Mimo and becoming a memory she never forgot. The very next day at school, the incident from the past continues to haunt Mimo. During a break between classes, a group of girls surrounds her and begins mocking her mercilessly. They laugh loudly and say cruel things, claiming that her breath must have smelled so bad that Romeo ran away rather than kissing her. Others add even harsher insults, suggesting that he rejected her because she was unattractive. Each word cuts deep. Mimo stands frozen as the laughter echoes around her, her face burning with humiliation. Unable to bear the humiliation any longer, Mimo suddenly snaps. Overwhelmed by anger and hurt, she storms toward Xiang-soo, who is standing nearby. In front of the entire school, without giving herself time to think, she grabs him and pulls down his pants, shouting loudly that now he finally understands what real humiliation feels like. The school erupts into chaos. Teachers and students gasp in shock. Xiang-soo is completely stunned. He never imagined that Mimo would react so boldly, let alone publicly embarrass him in such an extreme way. His pride is shattered in an instant. Back in the present, Xiang-soo recalls this memory with a bitter smile. He jokingly tells Mimo that after that incident he developed a strange fear of pants slipping down. He admits that for years afterward he could not walk around school without constantly checking his belt, terrified of being exposed again. Mimo listens and then responds with equal sarcasm. She says that after that day, she too developed her own fear, a fear of kissing. She confesses that she still struggles to get close to people emotionally or physically. As the conversation continues, her voice breaks and she begins crying, remembering how her boyfriend rejected her and how people continue to turn her away even now. Seeing Mimo cry stirs something deep inside Xiang-soo. Her pain reminds him of the woman from his past, the mother of his child, and all the unresolved emotions he buried long ago. Overcome by alcohol and emotion, he suddenly leans forward and kisses Mimo impulsively. He tells her not to worry anymore, promising that he will never leave her and that he will stay by her side no matter what. His words are reckless, spoken without thinking. Mimo is shocked by his sudden action, but because she is also intoxicated and emotionally fragile, the distance between them disappears. In that moment, confusion, loneliness, and suppressed feelings pull them closer together. The next morning arrives far too quickly. Mimo wakes up with a pounding headache and a strange sense of dread. Before she can fully gather her thoughts, her phone rings. It is Dongmi. Without any greeting, Dongmi yells at her, demanding to know whether she has completely lost her mind. She angrily reminds Mimo that she was forced to act as a witness for Mimo's court marriage. Hearing this, Mimo sits up in bed in shock. She insists that Dongmi must be mistaken and asks what she is talking about. At the same time, Xiang-soo regains consciousness in his own apartment. Groggy and confused, he reaches for his phone and sees a photo sent by his best friend. The image shows him standing beside Mimo, both holding marriage documents. His heart skips a beat. Panicking, he immediately calls his friend and demands an explanation. Calmly, his friend tells him that the photo is proof of his marriage, that Mimo is now his wife. He reminds Xiangsu that they married the previous night with him acting as a witness. The words feel unreal. Xiangsu's mind goes blank. Soon, both Mimo and Xiangsu realize the horrifying truth at the same time. They have legally become husband and wife. Shock turns into chaos as they both begin shouting, unable to accept what has happened. A flashback reveals what truly occurred the night before. Completely drunk, Mimo and Xiangsu stumbled into the courthouse, arguing loudly yet insisting they wanted to get married. They called their friends to act as witnesses. After much hesitation and repeated phone calls, Xiangsu's closest friend Haijun finally arrived. When he saw Mimo, he froze as if recognizing her from somewhere. Despite his confusion and reluctance, Haijun was eventually persuaded to help finalize the marriage. In front of everyone, Xiangsu impulsively proposed to Mimo again. When she agreed, he lifted her into the air and spun around happily. Haijun watched in disbelief before quietly leaving. Afterward, the newly married couple wandered through the market, with Mimo enthusiastically shopping for all sorts of things, laughing and acting as if everything were perfectly normal. Returning to the present, Xiangsu storms into Mimo's house. After a heated argument filled with accusations and disbelief, they rush to the courthouse together, furious and desperate for answers. They shout at an elderly clerk, demanding to know how two intoxicated people could possibly be allowed to marry. The man calmly responds that he remembers them well. He explains that they caused such a scene the night before that the staff had no choice but to proceed with the marriage. When Xiangsu asks if there is any solution, the clerk says there is only one option: divorce. Mimo immediately refuses. She says she cannot bear the shame of being divorced twice. However, after realizing there is no alternative, they reluctantly agree to proceed with the divorce. Elsewhere, Haijun appears at the hospital, where he is a highly respected and admired doctor. Many women secretly admire him. At the counter, a nurse hands him a love letter written by a teenage girl named Jenny, who openly declares her feelings for him and asks him to wait for her. Haijun laughs it off, treating it as a childish joke. Soon after, another doctor named Yun, his close friend, joins him. After finalizing the divorce, Xiangsu and Mimo walk together in silence, both feeling unexpectedly heavy-hearted. Xiangsu tries to lighten the mood by saying that there is no reason to feel sad since they were never truly husband and wife. Mimo agrees but admits that divorce carries a strange emotional weight regardless. They say goodbye, and as Xiangsu walks away, Mimo watches him with lingering affection, realizing how deeply connected they still are. Meanwhile, An is shopping with her wealthy fiancé Bang, the son of a powerful businessman. Bang is excited about their future, but An remains distant. Eventually, she confesses that she does not want to marry him. Bang reacts angrily, reminding her of the invitations, the venue, and the preparations. An apologizes repeatedly but stands firm. Bang, hurt and furious, declares that the wedding will proceed regardless. Later, a frightening incident occurs in Mimo's building when a divorced woman living alone nearly dies after choking on food. As neighbors gather, someone comments cruelly that this would not have happened if she had a husband. The words deeply unsettle Mimo, filling her with fear about living alone. That same night, overwhelmed by anxiety, Mimo suffers a severe panic attack and collapses. She calls for an ambulance in tears. At the hospital, a female doctor scolds the staff for bringing Mimo without properly covering her. Soon, Haijun recognizes Mimo as Xiangsu's wife from the courthouse. He examines her and discovers she has a back injury. As he treats her gently, both feel awkward and embarrassed, yet comforted. As Haijun adjusts the medical device and moves Mimo's head carefully, she suddenly realizes something shocking. This moment, his face, his movements, his presence, perfectly matches the man she has seen in her dreams for years. In her heart, Mimo finally understands. In the following scene, Xiangsu is shown sleeping deeply in his apartment, completely unaware of everything that has happened since the night before. Suddenly his phone rings, pulling him out of his sleep. On the other end of the call is Haijun, who speaks seriously and explains everything that occurred at the hospital: Mimo's panic attack, her condition, and the way she had been brought in late at night. As Xiangsu listens, his mind becomes increasingly confused. One thought keeps repeating in his head: what about my wife? The moment he realizes that Mimo is still in the hospital, he jumps out of bed in panic, hurriedly getting dressed and rushing out, determined to see her immediately. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Haijun is being questioned by his close friend Yun. Yun cannot hide her curiosity and keeps asking why Haijun gave his coat to Mimo. She points out that he has never treated any patient with such personal care before. She directly asks whether Mimo is someone special to him. Haijun, however, avoids answering. He remains silent, unable or unwilling to explain what he himself does not yet fully understand. At the same time, Mimo is sitting alone in the hospital hallway. Around her, she sees couples everywhere, husbands supporting wives, lovers holding hands, families sitting together. The sight makes her heart feel heavy. For the first time, she truly feels how lonely she is. The realization that she has no one beside her hits deeply. Just then, Hae-jun approaches her holding 2 cans of juice. He hands one to her gently. Instead of responding, Mimo stares at him without blinking. Her gaze is intense, filled with emotion. Feeling awkward, Hae-jun asks if she does not want the juice. Startled, Mimo quickly takes it. As Hae-jun begins drinking his own juice, Mimo continues to look at him, unable to look away. To her, this moment feels unreal. She cannot believe that she is finally sitting face to face with the man she has seen countless times in her dreams. Meanwhile, Hae-jun grows increasingly uncomfortable. He wonders why she keeps staring at him when he has already done what any doctor would do. Feeling uneasy, he turns his face away and focuses on his drink. Breaking the silence, Mimo softly admits that she feels something unusual whenever she looks at him. Hae-jun asks what she means, gathering all her courage. Mimo confesses that she fell in love with him the moment she saw him and that her feelings are one-sided. She asks if he can believe her sincerity. Hearing this, Hae-jun is completely taken aback. In his mind, Mimo is Xiangsu's wife. He immediately questions her mental and physical condition, asking if she is truly okay. Mimo calmly reassures him that she is perfectly fine and insists that every word she spoke was honest. Before Hae-jun can respond, Dongmi suddenly arrives. She scolds Mimo harshly, hitting her lightly out of frustration and concern. She angrily asks how Mimo can be so careless with her health and demands to know what the doctor said about her condition. Dongmi then notices the name written on the coat Mimo is wearing and becomes furious. She sarcastically questions whose coat it is and reminds Mimo that she got married only the previous day. She accuses her of shamelessly wearing another man's coat and orders her to remove it immediately. Mimo tries to stop her, but Dongmi does not listen. When the coat is removed, Dongmi is shocked to see Mimo dressed only in a nightdress. Embarrassed and alarmed, she quickly covers Mimo and scolds Hae-jun for starring, telling him that he has no right to look at her like that. Dongmi then turns back to Mimo, blaming her for hiding everything and abruptly changing the subject by asking where the expensive nightdress came from and whether her husband bought it for her. Hae-jun feels deeply uncomfortable listening to this conversation and quietly leaves. Upset and humiliated, Mimo gets angry at Dongmi and storms away. A short while later, Xiangsu finally arrives at the hospital, only to discover that Mimo has already left. He goes to Hae-jun and the two begin talking. Hae-jun asks why Mimo, his wife, never informed him about her panic attack. Xiangsu explains the truth that they are not truly husband and wife but accidentally married while drunk and never even dated. Hearing this, Hae-jun is stunned. He immediately remembers Mimo's confession and feels unexpectedly happy. Xiangsu describes Mimo as a strange woman who constantly creates trouble for herself. Hae-jun then questions Xiangsu, asking why he rushed to the hospital so late at night if he truly feels nothing for her. Xiangsu denies having any feelings and insists that he could never like someone as rude as Mimo. However, Hae-jun clearly senses that Xiangsu's denial hides genuine concern. Later, when Xiangsu returns home, he instinctively walks toward Mimo's apartment to check on her. Halfway there, he stops himself, wondering what right he has to interfere in her life. He reminds himself that he is neither her husband nor her boyfriend. At that moment, a memory surfaces the night they returned home drunk, confessed love to each other, and then parted ways to their own apartments. Remembering this, Xiangsu smiles unconsciously. Elsewhere, Mimo carefully irons Hae-jun's coat, worrying about how to explain the misunderstanding between her and Xiangsu. She later confronts Xiangsu directly, asking whether Hae-jun knows the truth. Xiangsu assures her that he explained everything. Overjoyed, Mimo impulsively hugs him. In another scene, An confesses to her mother that she does not want to marry. Her mother reacts angrily and leaves after scolding her. Later, Bang approaches An gently, acknowledging her fears and proposing that they marry for 1 year as a trial. An remains silent, unsure. Meanwhile, Dongmi and Mimo visit a strange fortune teller who claims to predict husbands. Though skeptical at first, Dongmi becomes convinced when he describes her struggles. He promises her a handsome and devoted future partner, demanding money to speed up the process. Just in time, another woman exposes him as a fraud and Dongmi retrieves her money. Mimo later visits Hae-jun at the hospital. He calls her sister-in-law jokingly, then admits he remembers the truth. Mimo insists that nothing exists between her and Xiangsu and urges him to focus on her confession. Hae-jun calmly explains that patients often confuse kindness with love. Mimo, hurt, insists her feelings are real. Hae-jun finally explains that he hates complicated relationships and cannot accept a situation involving his best friend and a past marriage, even if accidental. Mimo listens silently, tears filling her eyes. She admits she never intended to manipulate anyone and simply spoke from her heart. She confesses that every time she sees him her heart races and that she had rehearsed confessing again. After being rejected she feels strangely relieved yet broken. She returns his coat and leaves. Haijun watches her go, filled with regret. Yun later asks what happened, worsening his guilt. Elsewhere, Xiang-su releases an article exposing So Yan but deliberately removes Mimo's name to protect her reputation. The public reacts in shock. Later, Xiang-su finds Mimo sitting alone and assumes she is upset over the article. He apologizes, unaware that her pain comes from Haijun. He wants to comfort her but hesitates, watching her silently. Dongmi, inspired by a student, begins practicing baking cookies for her future boyfriend and decides to buy a second-hand oven. Finally, An receives a pregnancy test result confirming she is pregnant. She stands frozen, heartbroken, and conflicted, realizing that despite not wanting marriage, she is now carrying Bang's child. In the following part of the story, Haijun goes to a restaurant where he has arranged to meet Sue. After exchanging a few words, Haijun suddenly brings up something personal. He tells Sue that a few days ago, he met a woman who felt absolutely perfect for him, someone who matched him in every possible way. Hearing this, Sue naturally congratulates him and asks who the lucky girl is. Haijun smiles calmly and reveals that the woman he is talking about is none other than Mimo. The moment he hears Mimo's name, Sue is taken completely by surprise. He blurts out in disbelief, asking if Haijun is talking about the same Mimo, the one who studied with him back in school and was part of his childhood memories. Haijun confirms that it is indeed her. Then in a very straightforward manner, Haijun asks Sue an important question. He asks whether Sue has any romantic feelings for Mimo. He explains that if Sue does like her, he would immediately step back because he strongly dislikes getting involved in love triangles or complicated emotional situations. Sue does not answer right away. Instead, he becomes quiet and thoughtful, clearly lost in his own thoughts. Observing Sue's silence, Haijun assumes that this hesitation must mean Sue has feelings for Mimo deep down. Sue quickly denies it and insists that there is nothing romantic in his heart. He says that Mimo was simply his childhood friend and nothing more than that. Hearing this clear denial, Haijun accepts his words and says that if that is truly the case, then he plans to start dating Mimo openly since he genuinely likes her. With that, Haijun leaves the restaurant while Sue remains seated, overwhelmed by sadness and confusion. Elsewhere, Mimo finishes a session with one of her clients at work and calls in the next person. To her shock, the next client turns out to be Haijun. Seeing him standing there leaves her completely startled, and she immediately asks why he is there. Haijun casually replies that he has come as a client, just like anyone else. Mimo becomes extremely nervous. Her hands tremble as she brings him a cup of tea because whenever Haijun is in front of her, she finds it hard to remain calm. Haijun, on the other hand, finds her nervous behavior amusing and watches her reactions closely. After a moment, Haijun hands Mimo his personal profile and tells her about the kind of partner he is looking for. He describes his ideal woman as someone with a cute, gentle face, someone shorter than him, and someone who knows how to manage difficult situations with grace. He adds that he wants a pure-hearted, kind, and sincere woman. Listening carefully, Mimo summarizes his words and says that he wants someone who is adorable and innocent, yet intelligent and attractive at the same time. Haijun cannot stop staring at Mimo as she speaks, because every quality he just described fits her perfectly. However, Mimo fails to realize that he is describing her. Eventually, Haijun stands up and says that he is leaving because he feels his work will not be accomplished there. He teasingly tells her to get her eyes checked, saying that they are so big they look like they might pop out, which makes it hard for him to even talk properly. After making this playful remark, he walks away, leaving Mimo utterly confused. She stands there wondering what just happened and whether he was making fun of her. Outside, Haijun smiles to himself, satisfied. His goal was simply to give Mimo his profile so that if she found his preferences acceptable, he could move their relationship forward. Meanwhile, Sue goes out for dinner with a coworker named Ain. However, throughout the meal his mind is clearly elsewhere, constantly drifting back to thoughts of Mimo. Suddenly, Ain gathers her courage and confesses her feelings to him. Sue is completely shocked by this unexpected confession. When they step outside afterward, Sue gently but firmly rejects Ain. He apologizes and tells her honestly that he does not have romantic feelings for her. Ain begs him to give her at least one chance, but Sue refuses again, saying that she will surely find someone far better than him. Heartbroken, Ain leaves in tears. Sue also departs alone, and while driving, memories from the past begin flooding his mind. The story then shifts to their childhood. Back then, 3 girls used to bully and dislike Mimo. In an attempt to cause trouble, they trick Sue into eating a bad apple, which caused him severe stomach pain. Unable to endure the pain, he had to leave abruptly, which led to Mimo being humiliated in front of everyone. People cruelly labeled her an unlucky girl. On her way home, Mimo felt deeply ashamed and cried uncontrollably, blaming herself for what had happened. Sue wanted to comfort her, but when Mimo saw him, she angrily told him to leave and scolded him harshly. Her words hurt him deeply, as he felt he had broken the heart of the girl he secretly admired. After that incident, Mimo stopped coming to school for many days. Worried, Sue eventually went to her house to apologize, only to discover that she had already made a new friend. Back in the present, Sue clenches his fists and thinks to himself that he already lost Mimo once in the past and refuses to lose her again to someone else. On the other hand, Mimo goes to confront Hae-jun when Hae-jun sees her approaching. He feels happy inside and asks her why she came. Mimo scolds him and tells him that if he wants to work with her company, he should officially sign up instead of giving his profile and then refusing to proceed. Hae-jun starts teasing her again, which makes Mimo believe he is mocking her. In frustration, she demands that he sign up immediately. Hae-jun calmly responds that he cannot do that because he has already found the perfect match. When Mimo asks who it is, Hae-jun directly tells her that it is her, that he wants to date her. Mimo is completely stunned and wonders if she heard him correctly. She asks whether he is joking, reminding him that he once said she was not special enough for him and that he wanted to avoid a love triangle. Hae-jun explains that he now knows there is no one standing between them, which is why he wants to move forward with her. At that very moment, Sue arrives and sees the two of them together. He freezes in place. Mimo, still unable to believe what is happening, jokingly asks Hae-jun to punch her so she can confirm it is real. Instead, Hae-jun pulls her into a hug and asks if she believes him now. Overwhelmed with happiness, Mimo realizes that everything she ever wanted has finally come true. Watching this from afar, Sue feels an intense wave of jealousy and leaves silently. Inside his car, he vents his anger, bitterly saying that once again Mimo has slipped out of his hands. Later, Mimo asks Hae-jun when exactly he started liking her. Hae-jun smiles mysteriously and says it is a secret. He then recalls his past feelings and tells her that she entered his life like someone who came with wings. Hearing this, Mimo feels overjoyed. Soon after, Mimo enters the elevator where Sue also steps in. She greets him politely, but Sue is clearly irritated and responds coldly. When Mimo asks if he's going to work, he snaps at her to mind her own business. She asks why he is so angry, but he remains harsh. He then criticizes her appearance, commenting on her makeup and teasing her for trying too hard to look youthful. Mimo angrily defends herself, saying she spent a long time trying to look natural. Sue cruelly tells her to stop pretending to be a schoolgirl. Enraged, Mimo shouts at him. They exit the elevator in anger, and even then, Mimo continues scolding him as she gets into her car. Sue follows her and asks for a ride, claiming his car is broken. Reluctantly, Mimo agrees. While driving, she begins singing a love song meant for Hae-jun, which makes Sue extremely jealous. She then tells him openly about her relationship with Hae-jun. Hearing this, Sue suddenly yells loudly, causing Mimo to nearly hit pedestrians on the road. She angrily asks why he is shouting and whether loving someone is a crime. Sue explodes, accusing her of changing men too easily, insulting her character and comparing her actions to a dramatic television show. Hurt but firm, Mimo defends herself, saying her feelings for Hae-jun are genuine and that love can sometimes happen unexpectedly. Elsewhere, Ain tells Baekta about a pregnancy scare and asks for advice. Baekta insists that proper medical tests are necessary. Ain's words suggest she was considering abortion, but Baekta firmly states she cannot support such a decision. Later, it is revealed that Ain is not pregnant at all, and she decides to accept the truth and move forward honestly, hoping to correct her past mistakes. Baekta supports her decision. Baekta later visits the hospital and receives devastating news from the doctor. She is told that she has a serious medical condition that requires surgery and may cost her a breast. The news shocks her deeply. Meanwhile, Sue visits a memorial, overwhelmed with emotion, mourning Minwoo's mother. The story now shifts back to an earlier period in Hae-jun's life, long before the complicated relationships of the present fully unfolded. At that time, Hae-jun was sitting alone outside his college campus, quietly reading a letter that had been sent to him by Seong-soo. In that letter, Seong-soo told him about the birth of his child Minwoo. Hae-jun had already left Korea shortly after Minwoo was born, which was why he had not been around during those crucial early moments. As Hae-jun sat there absorbed in the letter, one of his college friends approached him. This friend was an enthusiastic fan of a popular idol group known as the Angels. Excitedly, the friend opened a loaf of bread that came with collectible stickers of the group members inside. He was hoping to find the sticker of his favorite member, So-yan. However, instead of So-yan's picture, the sticker that fell out was Mimo's. The friend's expression immediately soured. He clearly disliked Mimo and showed his frustration by tossing her sticker aside before walking away without another word. Hae-jun noticed the discarded sticker lying on the ground. He bent down, picked it up, and looked at it carefully. During his college years, Hae-jun had quietly become a fan of Mimo, admiring her in ways he never openly expressed. Holding the sticker in his hand stirred something gentle and nostalgic inside him. The story then returns to the present. Baekda goes to Ain's house that day, but she finds that Mimo is already there. Mimo hands Baekda an outfit prepared for the evening's party. Despite everything weighing on her heart, Baekda does not reveal anything about her illness to either of them. Shortly after, Dongmi also arrives and the three women gather together, chatting as if nothing were wrong. Elsewhere, Xiang-su is spending time with Hae-jun. Hae-jun openly talks about his relationship with Mimo, unaware that Xiang-su already knows most of it. Hearing Hae-jun speak so naturally about Mimo only deepens Xiang-su's emotional turmoil. Unable to handle his feelings, he begins drinking excessively. Later that night, when Mimo returns home, she is shocked to find Xiang-su standing outside in a drunken state. Seeing him like this alarms her and she tries to help him stand up. However, Xiang-su can barely keep his balance and keeps calling her a goldfish repeatedly, slurring his words. As she struggles to support him, the physical closeness between them increases. Feeling uncomfortable, Mimo attempts to step away, but Xiang-su grabs her face gently and speaks in a low, emotional voice. He tells her that she has always unsettled him in a way no other woman ever has, that there is something about her that no one else possesses. He leans in, about to kiss her, but before he can, his body gives out and he faints. Mimo quickly pushes him away and tries to lift him again, panicking. At that moment, Minwoo arrives and is startled by the scene. Together, Mimo and Minwoo manage to carry Xiang-su inside the house. Once everything settles, Minwoo brings Mimo a glass of juice. As they talk, Mimo realizes how mature Minwoo is for his age. Looking around the apartment, Mimo notices numerous photographs of Xiang-su and Minwoo together. The absence of a mother figure is painfully obvious, and she feels a deep sense of sympathy for Minwoo. Sensing her pity, Minwoo speaks up and asks her not to look at him that way. He explains that he lives comfortably, never lacks money, eats out regularly, and has everything he needs materially. As for a mother's love, he says he is content as long as his father is with him. However, he admits that he still hopes his father can one day have a wife, not for himself, but so that his father can be happy. His words leave Mimo silent and thoughtful. Soon after, the long-awaited wedding day arrives. Ain is overjoyed that her marriage is finally happening and her friends share in her happiness. During the ceremony, several of Bang's former girlfriends unexpectedly appear, all dressed in black. Wearing black at a wedding is widely considered unlucky, so their presence immediately draws attention and shock. Mimo offers to remove them if Ain wishes, but Ain refuses, saying she does not want any drama on her wedding day. One by one, the women lash out at Bang, calling him a terrible man who deceived countless girls. Ain grows increasingly furious and grips Bang's hand tightly in anger. After the ceremony, Ain confronts Bang privately, hitting him and demanding to know why he married her despite his countless affairs. Bang coldly admits that he married her merely to escape his family's pressure and to use her as a shield. He explains that being married gives him freedom to behave however he wants without being judged. He reminds her that she signed a one-year contract and cannot leave him during that time. He even suggests that they both use each other as cover while continuing separate romantic lives. Ain is devastated and Baekda, Dongmi, and Mimo overhear everything. Later, Xiang-su is eating alone at a restaurant when Mimo arrives, searching for her friend. Suddenly, Mimo's ex-boyfriend Young appears and aggressively pulls her aside, accusing her of coming to cause trouble again. He complains that people keep questioning him because of her. He insults her repeatedly. Xiang-su arrives just in time to hear everything. Mimo tells Young firmly that she has no desire to see him. Young loses his temper and nearly raises his hand to strike her but stops himself. Mimo, hurt and angry, says she cannot believe she wasted 2 years of her life on him. Young coldly tells her to disappear from his life and his wife's life. As he turns to leave, Mimo throws her sandal at him, hitting his head and shouting after him. A reporter nearby witnesses the scene and realizes Mimo was Young's first girlfriend. A heated argument erupts. Xiang-su steps in, tells Young to leave, and ensures the reporter does not escalate the situation. Afterward, Mimo angrily confronts Xiang-su, demanding to know why he interfered. Xiang-su, flustered, blurts out deeply personal details about their past, embarrassing both of them as bystanders begin laughing. Mortified, Xiang-su leaves. Later, Mimo prepares for a date with Hae-jun. On her way out, she runs into Xiang-su, who asks if she is cold due to her outfit. She dismisses him, saying fashion has no temperature. She goes to the movies with Hae-jun, where couples around them kiss during a romantic scene. Hae-jun gets close but avoids kissing her, using popcorn as an excuse. They continue this routine for days, movies and dinner, until Mimo starts finding it dull. Mimo grows frustrated that Hae-jun has still not kissed her. She plans a private movie date at home. When the doorbell rings, she expects Hae-jun but finds Seong-soo instead. He notices the wine and becomes suspicious. Mimo insists her boyfriend will take care of her and sends him away. Worried, Seong-soo tries to stop Hae-jun but fails. Later, Seong-soo interrupts their date with fried chicken, ruining the moment. The next day, Hae-jun cancels again. Jenny appears and mocks Mimo, revealing that Hae-jun has an ex-wife. Mimo later learns that Dr. Yun is that ex-wife. Dr. Yun tells Mimo that Hae-jun never truly loves deeply, planting doubt in her heart. Later, Mimo plans to impress Hae-jun with magic tricks, but he cancels again. Seong-soo watches her perform instead. During one trick, Mimo accidentally sets her hair on fire. Seong-soo quickly puts it out and takes her home, covering her with his coat. Hae-jun sees them together and feels jealousy surge inside him. He takes Mimo home himself but becomes suspicious. An argument follows and Hae-jun leaves. That night, Mimo's condition worsens. When the doorbell rings, she finds Seong-soo standing there with medicine, silently caring for her. And in that quiet moment, Mimo begins to see him differently. Later that night, Baekda gently tucked her son into bed, adjusting the blanket around him and watching his peaceful face for a few extra moments. As she sat beside him in the quiet room, memories she had tried to bury for years slowly resurfaced. Her thoughts drifted back to the early days of her marriage, when expectations from her family had begun to weigh heavily on her shoulders. In the past, Baekda had been constantly pressured to give birth to her first child. Year after year passed, and with every passing month the pressure only increased. Relatives whispered, elders questioned her worth, and even casual conversations felt like accusations. After enduring years of emotional strain and physical difficulties, she finally became pregnant and gave birth to her first child. Instead of relief, however, this achievement opened the door to a new set of expectations. Soon after, her family began urging her to have a second child. This demand shattered Baekda's fragile sense of peace. Despite repeated attempts, nothing happened. Her body refused to cooperate just as it had before. Remembering how difficult it had been to conceive the first time, Baekda grew increasingly anxious and depressed. The fear of failure consumed her, and without fully understanding it herself, she began distancing herself from her husband Tai. Whenever Tai tried to get close to her emotionally or physically, Baekda would make excuses, claiming fatigue or illness. Over time, this distance grew into a wall neither of them knew how to break. Back in the present, Baekda stood outside Tai's room, gathering her courage. She wanted to hug him one last time before her upcoming surgery. There was a chance that after the operation her life and possibly her relationship would never be the same. With trembling hands she approached him, but Tai rejected her coldly. His voice was filled with years of suppressed resentment as he accused her of remembering him only when it suited her. He spoke as though he had been treated like a tool rather than a husband, unaware of the illness Baekda had been hiding from him. Unable to explain herself, Baekda whispered an apology and walked away, breaking down in tears as soon as she was out of sight. Tai, left behind, was equally shaken, though his pride prevented him from chasing after her. Soon after, Hae-jun called Mimo and asked to meet her. When they met, Hae-jun surprised her by gifting her a pair of earmuffs, a small but thoughtful gesture meant to reassure her that he cared. Then he handed her a bundle of stickers he had collected by buying hundreds of loaves of bread over time. With a shy smile, he confessed that he had been her fan since his college days. Mimo was stunned. Hae-jun continued, revealing that he had kept her photo for 10 years. He admitted that when the angel group disbanded, he had cried, believing he would never see her again. Fate, however, had reunited them unexpectedly, first through a borrowed coat and later in the hospital where she appeared in his life once more. Overwhelmed by his confession, Mimo realized that his feelings were genuine. They hugged, sharing a quiet, tender moment. As Hae-jun leaned in to kiss her, Mimo suddenly remembered she had not brushed her teeth after eating. Panicking, she quickly kissed his cheek instead and wrapped him in a hug. Only afterward did embarrassment wash over her as she wondered how she had managed to ruin such a meaningful moment. At Min-woo's request, Mimo later visited Seong-soo's house to help him choose potential partners for his father. She showed Min-woo photos of various women, but none impressed him. Eventually, Min-woo left for a school assignment, explaining that his father was busy that day. Mimo decided to accompany Min-woo to school instead. At the school, parents whispered among themselves, shocked to see Mimo present. Many recognized her from the angel group and were amazed to see her acting as Min-woo's guardian. For the first time, Min-woo felt proud rather than lonely. Mimo participated in school activities like any other parent, and when Seong-soo arrived later, the three of them worked together seamlessly. To outsiders, they looked like a complete family. While carrying heavy luggage, Mimo stumbled. Seong-soo rushed to help her, but in the process he nearly fell himself. He caught her just in time, though Mimo injured her foot. Concerned, they decided to head home. When they arrived, Haijun happened to see Xiangsu carrying Mimo. His anger flared, and he nearly confronted Xiangsu until he noticed Min Wu nearby. Inside, Xiangsu and Min Wu fussed over Mimo, refusing to let her move. Mimo joked that they were overreacting, but Xiangsu carefully applied a hot compress to her foot. Meanwhile, Haijun waited outside, calling her repeatedly. When she didn't answer, frustration and loneliness crept in, making him feel ignored and unwanted. Mimo, however, began realizing just how deeply Xiangsu cared for her, not only as a person but as someone dependable and responsible. She praised him sincerely, acknowledging his struggles as a student and a single father. Overwhelmed, Xiangsu held her hand and asked her not to touch him anymore, confessing that her closeness made him want to never let her go. His words shocked Mimo, but before she could respond, Min Wu returned with medicine. Mimo took it and left quietly. Later, Xiangsu apologized to Haijun. Haijun, however, warned him to stay away from Mimo. A heated argument followed, revealing buried emotions. Haijun recalled their college days, especially the tragedy involving Nara, the girl they both once knew. Haijun had loved her first, but she chose Xiangsu. When she became pregnant and sought support, Xiangsu failed her. She later died during childbirth, leaving behind Min Wu. Haijun had helplessly watched his first love die, a trauma that haunted him. Back in the present, Xiangsu admitted that he had fallen for Mimo and was willing to become the villain if that was the only way to be with her. Haijun rejected this fiercely, insisting Mimo was his and accusing Xiangsu of always acting selfishly. After Haijun left, guilt consumed Xiangsu. That night, Mimo confronted Xiangsu directly, asking if he liked her. He denied it, claiming he had only been joking. Hurt but composed, Mimo invited him to her company for Min Wu's sake and later met Haijun. She kept talking about Xiangsu, asking what kind of woman would suit him. Haijun abruptly kissed her to silence her. Though shocked, Mimo felt nothing afterward. The kiss felt empty. Over time, her doubts grew. Even on dates with Haijun, her thoughts drifted to Xiangsu. When Haijun scolded her for mentioning him again, she realized that the kiss had never been about love, it had been about control. Hurt, she left. Later, she went to apologize but found Haijun close with Yun. Yun confessed she wanted to return to Haijun. Mimo overheard everything. When she confronted Haijun, he admitted there was still something between him and Yun. He questioned the strength of his relationship with Mimo and walked away, leaving her shattered. Alone, Mimo finally faced the truth. Her heart had been breaking long before this moment. When Sue finally returned home that night, exhaustion clung to him like a second skin. As he reached the building entrance, something unusual caught his attention. Mimo was sitting outside, slumped awkwardly near the door, clearly intoxicated. Her head drooped forward, her hair messy, her eyes unfocused. The sharp smell of alcohol made the situation obvious. Alarmed, Sue rushed to her side and carefully helped her to her feet. She leaned heavily against him, barely able to stand. He asked her for the door password, hopping to get her inside quickly. Mimo mumbled an answer, but it was wrong. He tried again. Another wrong answer. Each attempt only made her giggle weakly until suddenly her body lurched forward and she vomited right there on the floor. Sue froze in shock. Before he could even react, a man who lived nearby appeared, his face twisted in disgust. Known for his obsession with cleanliness, the man immediately scolded Sue, demanding that the mess be cleaned at once. With no choice, Sue first carried Mimo into his apartment and gently placed her on his bed. Only after making sure she was safe did he return to clean the mess outside, scrubbing the floor thoroughly before anyone else could complain. Back in the bedroom, Mimo was half-conscious. In her hazy state, she believed she was in her own home. Her body felt unbearably warm and discomfort crept over her skin. Without realizing where she was, she began removing her outer clothes, tossing them aside carelessly. By the time Sue finished cleaning and went to take a quick shower, she had already curled up on the bed, unaware of her surroundings. When Sue returned to the room after bathing, the sight before him made him freeze in place. Shock rushed through him. Panicking, he quickly turned away and tried to cover her with a blanket, but Mimo, restless and overheated, pushed the blanket aside again and again, mumbling incoherently. Morning arrived sooner than expected. Mimo's phone rang, pulling her slightly out of sleep. Without opening her eyes, she answered the call. It was Haijun. His voice sounded irritated as he demanded to know where she was and why she wasn't opening the door. Still half asleep, Mimo replied lazily that she was at home. The moment she opened her eyes, reality crashed down on her. This wasn't her bedroom. Her heart skipped as she realized she was in Sue's house. Panicking, she jumped out of bed and rushed into the hall. Through the door, she spotted Haijun standing outside. She shouted through the door, refusing to let him in, telling him she was still angry and that he couldn't expect forgiveness so easily. Hurt and frustrated, Hae-jun eventually turned and left. Only then did Mimo glance down at herself. She was wearing nothing but a thin nightdress. A scream tore out of her throat. The noise woke both Sue and Min-woo. Sue rushed out, irritated and confused, asking what was wrong. Mimo, embarrassed and flustered, lashed out instead, accusing him of deliberately bringing her there. Sue calmly explained that she had come on her own, completely drunk. Realizing her mistake, Mimo's anger collapsed into shame. She apologized repeatedly, thanked him for helping her, and fled the apartment as fast as she could. Later, all four friends gathered together, each one weighed down by their own sadness. Mimo was heartbroken over Hae-jun. Dongmi felt invisible and unwanted, unable to find love. An was troubled by her issues with Bang. The room felt heavy with shared misery. That was when Baekda quietly spoke up. She told them she had breast cancer. The words hit like thunder. Everyone froze. Before anyone could react, Baekda warned them not to cry. She said she had already cried enough for all of them. Her calm strength only made their hearts ache more. Compared to her pain, their worries felt unbearably small. Before Baekda's surgery, the four friends spent time together with her, watching old videos, laughing, reminiscing, and creating warmth around her so she wouldn't face the operation alone in fear. The following day, Mimo went to pick up Baekda's son, Yang, from school. She told him gently that she would be coming from now on because his mother had gone on vacation. Yang didn't believe her. He said he knew his parents were divorcing because of him and that no one wanted him anymore. Mimo knelt beside him and corrected every misunderstanding he carried in his heart. She explained everything honestly and then took him to see his mother. The moment Yang saw Baekda, he burst into tears and clung to her, apologizing for his behavior. Meanwhile, Tai returned from his business trip to find the house empty. Divorce papers had already been signed. He believed Baekda had left for good, but when he saw Yang crying, the truth came out. Hearing about Baekda's illness shattered him. Alone in his room, he broke down, replaying every conversation he had ignored. Soon after, Baekda was taken into surgery. She hugged Yang tightly before going in. Outside, her friends waited anxiously. The operation was successful, but Dr. Yun later warned Tai that the emotional recovery would be harder. A woman's sense of self would be deeply affected, and even the smallest cruelty could destroy her spirit. She would need unwavering support. Tai listened in silence. Later, Mimo visited a school trip with Sue. Snow warnings filled the air and roads began closing. Mimo worried about how she would get home, while Hae-jun grew increasingly upset upon learning she was with Sue. Eventually, the school arranged a room for the night. Mimo protested angrily but wandered the campus instead. In the science room, the lights went out and fear overtook her. She fainted after seeing a skeleton display. Sue found her and stayed by her side. Believing she was unconscious, he confessed everything he had kept inside since childhood, his long-standing feelings, his regrets, his heartbreak over being unable to love her now because she belonged to Hae-jun after he left. Mimo opened her eyes. She had heard every word. From then on, Mimo tried desperately to erase Sue from her thoughts, filling her home with Hae-jun's photos, but nothing worked. When Hae-jun fell sick, she cared for him, cooking soup and tending to him. He never noticed her injured hand. Later, she discovered the soup she made untouched in the sink. The realization broke her heart. As scandals erupted, old wounds reopened. Fans turned cruel, hate letters resurfaced. The trauma overwhelmed her, leading to a panic attack. Sue, worried, broke into her home and rushed her to the hospital. Hae-jun arrived but argued with Sue instead of focusing on her condition. Only when the truth was revealed that Mimo had been wronged all along did public opinion shift. Support poured in. Slowly, Mimo began to breathe again. For the first time in a long while, the world felt less heavy. Dalmi walked toward Teo with a nervous excitement bubbling inside her chest. She had been looking forward to seeing him, yet now that he was standing right in front of her, words seemed to abandon her completely. Her steps slowed, her hands fidgeted, and her mind went blank. Teo noticed her hesitation and smiled gently. Without making things awkward, he placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder and casually asked if she would like to have lunch with him. The simplicity of the invitation eased her nerves, and she nodded without hesitation. Not far away, Tai bent down to Yang's level and handed the child a single flower. With a playful seriousness, he whispered instructions, telling Yang to give the flower to his mother and tell her she looked beautiful but not to reveal who had sent it. Yang, proud to be trusted with such a task, ran to Baekda and presented the flower exactly as instructed. Baekda's face lit up instantly. Her smile was soft, surprised, and deeply emotional. Watching her reaction, Tai felt warmth bloom in his own chest. Seeing her happy made him feel hopeful in a way he hadn't felt in a long time. Soon after, Baekta was discharged from the hospital. Mimo, Dongmi and An accompanied her home, supporting her every step of the way. When they arrived, they insisted Baekta go inside first while they took Young out for a meal. Baekta was confused but agreed. The moment she stepped into the house, she froze. Every corner of the room was filled with her favorite flowers, red roses arranged carefully and lovingly. At the center of it all was a letter. With trembling hands, she opened it and read the simple sentence written inside, "You are still beautiful to me even now." Her emotions overflowed. Tears streamed down her face as she cried openly, overwhelmed by love and disbelief. She had never imagined Tai would accept her so completely after everything she had been through. Just then Tai appeared. He pulled her into a warm embrace and whispered comforting words, reassuring her that she was never alone. In that moment, the distance between them disappeared, and the bond they once shared quietly began to mend. Meanwhile, Haejun asked Mimo to meet him at a restaurant. When she arrived, he greeted her with a bouquet and handed her a small box, urging her to open it. The sight of it filled Mimo with dread. Fear gripped her heart as she imagined what it might contain. Before she could stop herself, tears began to fall. Confused, Haejun asked why she was crying. Gathering all the courage she had, Mimo apologized and confessed that she could not accept what he was offering. She admitted that although she had once initiated their relationship, her heart no longer belonged there. Haejun's expression shattered. Before Mimo could explain further, he stopped her, his voice sharp with pain. He told her to say nothing more and stormed out, leaving the unopened box behind. Once alone, Mimo collapsed into sobs. Drunk with heartbreak and regret, she stumbled on her way home. Along the street, a man began harassing her, but before things could escalate, Xiang-su appeared and pulled her to safety. Instead of relief, anger poured out of Mimo. She accused Su of interfering in her life and blamed him for the pain she had caused Haejun. She told him that if he had stayed away, no one would have been hurt. Her words cut deep. Su walked away silently, his heart heavy. The following day, he submitted his resignation and decided to leave the country. Later, Mimo visited Haejun at the hospital. With tears in her eyes, she called herself selfish and cruel, admitting that she had loved him when it was one-sided and left once his feelings grew real. She explained that loving someone else while dating him would have been dishonest. Handing him the ring, she told him he could direct all his anger at her. Haejun refused. He told her she was not a terrible person, that she had helped him grow and understand himself. Though deeply hurt, he accepted that this was goodbye. Elsewhere, Bang confessed to An that his fake relationship had been a desperate attempt to make her realize his feelings. Showing her an old photo, he promised to stay by her side forever. An broke down, overwhelmed with emotion, and chose to return home with him. When Mimo learned that Su had left, panic seized her. She ran to his apartment, searching every corner, calling his name until exhaustion brought her to tears. Days passed, yet she continued waiting. She left handwritten notes on his door, hoping he might return. One morning, rushing to work, Mimo stepped into the elevator and froze. Su was standing there. Shock made her stumble, but he caught her instantly. He spoke casually as if nothing had changed and walked away. Only later did Mimo learn the truth, that Haejun had called Su back after witnessing her heartbreak. Eventually, Su and Haejun met. Their conversation was tense, filled with unresolved emotions, but it ended with quiet understanding. That evening, Su sat outside his building when Mimo approached him, confronting him about leaving without a word. She confessed that she had heard his earlier confession and that her feelings were real. Looking him in the eyes, she said the words she had been holding back: she loved him. Su responded without hesitation, pulling her into a kiss filled with longing and relief. They returned home together, smiling through tears. Later, Su kissed her again, only to be interrupted by Min Woo. Laughing awkwardly, Mimo stepped aside. Before leaving, Su pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. Elsewhere, Taeo visited Dongmi's school. His bold confession stunned everyone as he declared his love and kissed her openly. Dongmi beamed with happiness. Later, Yun spoke to Haejun about a man who wanted to date her. Showing him a hair clip from their college days, she admitted it still held meaning for her. Haejun asked for time, hinting at a fresh start. Yun agreed, hopeful. Soon after, Baekta and Tai remarried. Surrounded by friends, joy filled the air. Dongmi teased Mimo about her turn. As the bouquet was thrown, Su caught it deliberately and offered it to Mimo, but she surprised everyone by pulling out a ring and proposing to him herself. Su, stunned and emotional, accepted. And just like that, love found its way home. The next episode is already ready. Subscribe so you don't miss it.